Do you guys realize that your smoker does more than make brisket? That's right, today we are making pizza in the smoker. Oh, didn't know this was possible? It is, and not only is it possible, it's probable, and we're gonna do it.
Bigfoot cooking.
That's right, we are making today's just a really simple recipe. We're gonna make a 12-inch pepperoni pizza. Nothing too crazy, unless you're shopping, because I tell you what, looking at the store and looking at how much pizza is now, holy cow! The cost of making it at home is like less than a third of what it is to buy it at the grocery store, let alone delivery. So let's get this started, because I also got a 12-inch pizza stone for Christmas. So we're gonna condition that guy while we're working on the pizza. So let's get started with, well, how about the ingredients? That'd be a good thing to get started with, because I figure if you guys wanna make this, you might need to know how. We're gonna start it out with the yeast, because we gotta wake it up. And for that, we've got about 3/4 cup of warm water. Not hot, because you'll kill the yeast, and not cold, because then they don't wake up. They're moody little critters. But we got about 3/4 of warm water. With the water, we've got 3 teaspoons of yeast. Now, if you do the measurements, 3 teaspoons of yeast is the same as 1 tablespoon of yeast. Yeah, that's the conversion rate. And I've got about a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. That way, when the yeast wake up, they're hungry and they got a little meal to eat. After that, we got about 2 cups of flour. You can use all-purpose and it'll be okay, but bread flour would really be the best for this. But again, use what you got. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world. 2 cups of flour. I've got a teaspoon of, they actually call it spaghetti seasoning. Now, it's basically everything you need in there. You've got your garlic, your oregano, your basil, but it's just all mixed into one simple, easy to put in. And that will give a little bit of flour, a little bit of taste to the flour that's in the pan. I've got about 3/4 teaspoon of salt and about a tablespoon of honey. That way, when we go to mix that, that'll add a little flavor. And then for the pizza sauce itself, we're gonna use a red sauce on this one. I'm gonna use a can of the San Marzino, I think they're called. We're gonna use a can of the San Marzino peeled tomatoes. That's right, we're having Italian tomatoes. I mean, why not? Pizza's supposedly Italian, so you might as well keep it going. Into that, we're gonna mix in, this is all 1 teaspoon of salt, garlic, basil, and oregano. That's gonna give the pizza sauce its flavor. And then, of course, to top it, we've got our mozzarella and we've got our pepperoni. All that together, this is gonna be a good but simple pizza. Now, step 1, like I say, we got to get our stone seasoned, because it's brand new, fresh out the box, haven't used it. And to kind of help the pizza from sticking to it on its first cook, we're gonna go ahead and pre-oil it. Now, before I do that though, actually, we're gonna wake up our yeast. So let's get that part started. All right, so this right here, this is about the easiest part of the whole process. We're gonna take our 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, add it to the water. Of course, give it a mix, that way it's not just sitting on the bottom. All right, now that our sugar is all dissolved in the water, let's wake up our yeast. Come on, guys, get out of bed. It's party time. You know, yeast never look pretty when you first pour them in. They're all lumpy and clumpy, and it's like, how are you guys gonna work? Well, through the power of science and magic and whatever else, they wake up. Like I say, there's plenty of sugar for them to eat in here, so they're gonna start doing their hubble and bubble and whatever's going on inside of here. I just know it makes really good bread. All right, so while the magic is happening here, what we're gonna do now is work on our pizza stone. See, the pizza stone, when you first get them, they may stick really bad because they're very porous, and they're not very forgiving if you get stuff stuck to them, because they'll be stuck to it for the rest of the time you own it without a good scrubbing. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a little bit of olive oil and I'm just gonna apply a little bit to the surface here. And you can wear gloves if you want, but I'm just gonna take and rub this oil into the stone everywhere. That way we get a good coating of it in here. All right, it sucked all that in. Now, in this case, my pizza stone is completely flat on both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and oil the back side as well, because, well, I'm sure there's times where I won't remember which side goes up. And again, I don't want this to have a problem either way I go. So into the drizzle, my dear. You know, I made sure that I rinsed this thing off really good and dried it before we started this process, because one, you don't want to actually wash this with soap, because like you saw how it's absorbing the oils, well, it will also absorb the soap. And the only way you'll get it back out is when you put your pizza on it and it tastes like dish soap. Not what you're after. There are many things that can go on a pizza. Soap is one I really don't recommend. But you see, it has soaked up all of this. I could probably oil it again, but I don't want it to drip out. I just want a good heavy coating of oil on this thing. So now let's head out to the smoker to get the seasoning part done. Now, we've got this thing set on maximum heat. For this right here, seasoning this stone and cooking the pizza, it doesn't matter what kind of wood you load into this, so don't use your expensive stuff, because it's burning so hot, you're not going to get much smoke anyway. Like I say, we're still warming this thing up. We're almost at maximum temperature. So what I'm going to do, we're going to set this guy in here, and we're going to give it about an hour to, well, cook the stone. That will help set this so that way the pizza don't stick to it at all. So, into the frying pan, my dear. Whew, it is windy and cold out here today. So, like I say, an hour of just sitting here cooking that, and then the pizza will be on it. Well, by that time, we will have the crust ready. So let's go back inside where A, it's warmer, and B, that's where the food is. Now, I also want to point out, if you didn't want to do this in a smoker, you could do it in an oven. I mean, you would just set your oven at about 425 and do the same thing. Cook it for an hour. So that way, if you don't have a smoker, don't feel bad. It still works in the house. It's just sometimes when you're setting the stone, or the same thing as like restoring cast iron, sometimes you get a smell off of it. Well, in this case, it's all outside and it's just nothing but nature. So now let's see. We've been outside maybe 10, 15 minutes between moving the cameras and coming back. Take a look at the yeast. I mean, these things are highly active. These guys got woke up and they are definitely ready for the party. So this is great. We're going to take our little mixture right here, our bubbly beer, I guess you'd say, because it is quite active. I'm really happy with this yeast. They seem to be working great. And we are going to pour them into our mixer. We'll just ease these guys right into the mixer. Splish splash, they were taking a bath. All right, now that we've got our science experiment out, let's go ahead. We're going to add our flour to it. Now, normally I'd try to work this in, but honestly, cheating where I'm using the mixer, we'll just start the mixer out slow. So we'll add our flour with a little bit of a dust cloud. We're going to add our little bit of spice magic to it. And we're going to add our salt. That's right. All the flavors have come to the party. So now we'll set this down and we are going to start this out slow and low. We got plenty of time for this to make. So let's just give it a nice number 1 and let it go until it looks like something. Oh, almost forgot. Let's give them yeast a little something more. We're going to drizzle in our honey at this stage. See, this is the nice thing. Since it takes a moment for all of this to mix together and get happy, I can just sit here and hold the honey and I can wait on it. You know, some things you're in a rush for, some things just let them happen naturally. And by the way, guys, on your honey, there is a difference. And I'm sorry, there really is a difference between if you get like the store-bought commercial over-processed honey versus, hey, there's a guy that lives like 6 or 7 miles from me who has bees and sells his own honey. And yes, it costs twice as much as what I can get it from the grocery store, but the flavor that gives to it, there is a big, big difference. Plus, you're at that point actually getting local honey, which you get some of the local pollens, the local pollinators. So for those of you with allergies and stuff, sometimes that honey, I'm not a doctor, sometimes that honey can help you with some of those allergies. So give it a shot. I mean, worst case, you know, you wind up with some really good honey, and best case, when the spring hits, it's not as bad for you. Again, not a doctor, not medical advice, just a guy with a mixer. All right, it looks still a little bit wet to me. It's not forming that ball and rolling it around. So I'm gonna put in about, you know, just a little bit of flour here, just to give it a chance to help mix in a little bit more. when you're doing this, do it in stages. If you need to add a little water, add a teaspoon, add a tablespoon. Don't just go, oh, I need more water. Oh, I need more flour. Next thing you know, you've got a bowl full of something, and unless you're making 70 pizzas, well, not the best thing. So again, we wait a few minutes and let that little bit of flour take. If I'm still not happy, I'll add just a touch more. All right, we've added about a tablespoon and a half of more flour to it just to get it where I want it. And we seem to be pulling off of here real nice. So let's go ahead and get it out and do just a little bit of kneading to it and then get it ready to rise just a little bit. Let's see, we'll take a little bit of our flour and dust our surface here. That way it won't stick to it. A little bit of love there. A little bit of love on the hands. A little bit of love in the pan. Okay, it's a bowl, but look, it rhymed. Work with me here. All right, we've got our dough out. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a little bit of kneading. Yes, even though the hook actually does a pretty good job of it, you know well, this is the part that makes it just a little bit more handmade. And we're just gonna pull it out and roll it around, pull it out and roll it around. If it gets sticky, well, just add a little more flour to it and just work it for, well, 2 or 3 minutes at least, but you know, no more than 10. I mean, that'd be just way too much. All right, when you're happy with your kneading, you take your little ball of dough here and you just keep tucking the ends under. Get you a nice smooth top on it. Notice how it's no longer sticking to the hands. That's kind of nice. Once you get a good little, once you're happy with it and it's like, oh, look, it's such a nice little ball of dough. We're gonna take, I got a little bit of olive oil put in the mixing thing. I'm gonna set a little bit on it, flip it over, and we're just gonna leave this alone and let it rise. So that way, about the time this is done, the stone should be done, and we can start making some pizza. So check back with you in about 30 minutes. You know, I said we were waiting, and then I realized, oh, I gotta make the pizza sauce. Duh. So let's go ahead and get this guy going. Woo, fire. We'll set you here. We will open up our can-o-mators. That's right, we're doing it old school. We're using a can opener. Oh, what would we do? How will we do? We're not even using electricity. All right, into the bowl. That's right, nothing to it. Piece of cake. Now I'm gonna take and mash these up a little bit before we go too crazy. Hey look, I even found where they hid the basil leaf in here. That's right, this is gonna be good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and add our spice package all at once. Everybody get on in there. And now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a potato masher and come in here and just kind of mash all this together. That way we break up the tomatoes and we get this good to go. All right, we've got our pizza sauce basically made. Now, I didn't drain the can before, so it's a little bit thinner than I want. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this here simmer for about 20 minutes and kind of bring some of the moisture down. Now I could cheat and put a little tomato paste in it, but I mean, this is already gonna be plenty of sauce for this pizza. So I don't need to make any more than what I've got. So while this simmers and while that rises and while that bakes, cures, whatever, while the stone is doing its thing, well, let's check in on Benson, see how Bigfoot's doing since he got back from vacation. Who knows, he might even have some words of wisdom for us.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I ate a whole pizza, so there's none left for you. Do you know how to get someone with a college degree off of your porch? You pay them for the pizza. You know, I got some really spicy pizza the other day. The guy thought I ordered a pepper-only pizza. Now, how did the duck pay for his pizza? He said, put it on his bill. I asked a Jedi how many pizzas to get for his party. He said, order 66. These are good jokes.
Well, as luck would have it, I went to the cupboard and the cupboard was bare. I have no cornmeal, but that's okay. We have an answer for that. We're gonna take a little popcorn run it through our grinder here. That's right, we're gonna make our own cornmeal. We got all kinds of attachments for this here KitchenAid, so let's go ahead and get started with the first one. We're just gonna pour this in the top, let it grind it up a little bit, and lo and behold, we have us a little cornmeal. So now that we got our cornmeal ready for the underside of the pizza, let's go ahead and start working on the cheese while we're playing with our KitchenAid everything mixer. We'll go ahead and take our mozzarella blocks and load them in the cannon, and boom, we've got cheese. Now, I always prefer to do it myself right here when you're using it, because the stuff you buy from the store, it has anti-clumping agents. I think they use potato starch or something on it to keep it from sticking to itself in the bag. Whereas here, well, we just made it, so it doesn't have long enough to stick, because pretty soon it's assembly time, not to mention snack time. All right, so we have all the prep work, we have all the, well, now it's time to make the pizza. So let's see, out with the pizza dough. This is the one area where honestly, I am not the world's best pizza dough stretcher person, what have you. So if I can do this, I know you can do this, because this is not my expertise. Let's see. Let's just work this out using the knuckles. Don't try to poke your fingers in it, because if you do, well, you're gonna make a mess. You're gonna poke a hole in it. We don't want none of that to happen now, do we? Now, my stone outside is a 12-inch stone, which is the same as the outer ring. So that's our goal, is to have this to sit right to the edge of that. So we're just gonna work this nice and slow like. See if we can do this without poking a hole in it.
Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
All right, we're roughly where I wanna be. I'm gonna pull this back, put a little bit of our ball bearings, for lack of a better word, underneath this thing. So that way, as we pull it off of this and go outside, we don't stick to nothing. And there we go, pizza dough. Now, let's add this here mater sauce to it. That's right. This stuff thickened up rather nicely as I let it simmer. So now, let's just add a little bit to it. Now don't make it soupy. Don't put like a ton of this on here. You want enough just to cover everything and make sure there's nobody left behind, so that way you get a little bit of flavor of the mater the whole time you eat it. You know, the one thing to decide is how close to get it to the edge, because I know there are those who like a nice piece of crust on the end, and there's those who they want the sauce and the cheese all the way to the edge. And you know what? Both of you are correct, because absolutely both of you are right. So now we've got it sauced. Oh, it's time for the mozzarella. And yes, we have plenty. So for me, this is where we ain't gonna be shy. We're gonna make all the red disappear with all this cheese. Oh, I guarantee you'll get a cheese stretch with this one. And now, pepperonis. And this is where you could have fun. You could put a smiley face on here. You could, well, let me show you this. If you want to predetermine how big your slices are, leave a little space between the pepperoni for the knife to cut. Yeah, see, now you're getting big brain. Now, yes, these are going to be nice, massive slices of pizza, but it's a dinner pizza. I mean, you could do the odd thing and eat it with a fork. I know, I've seen that before. It's odd, but I mean, I guess it's not against the law, so more power to you. So now, let's see, a little bit more on here, just so we don't stick. We're gonna slide this bad boy up under here. Oh, it has absorbed everything. Now, you might think this is the end of the world, but it's not. Let me show y'all a trick. I'm gonna take my pizza tray, set it on top, and we are going to flip this whole thing over. Let's cheat it up a little bit. Put some more of this on here so that way we don't have no trouble. And then flip it right back over. Look at that, right on that bad boy. Let's take it outside. All right, we got a nice hot smoker. Let's set this thing in here and see how we do. Woo! Pizza has been loaded. Now we're gonna give it about 12 hours. We had a pepperoni go bad. We're gonna give it about 12 hours, Lord. We're gonna give it about 12 minutes and check on it, because I think 12 to 15 is about all it's gonna take in here, and then we're gonna have some deliciousness. All right, we got about 12 and a half minutes on the clock. Let's peek in and see what we got. Woo, that looks kind of nice. I tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and pull it. Let's just slide in here. Oh, look at that. Come on out. Oh, the pizza come out nice and swole and puffy. Now, if you want a little bit more on the crust, if you want it a little harder, leave it in a few more minutes. But I think we're gonna pull this one just like it is. Ooh, yes. We have pizza. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna take my handy dandy slicer here. Now, unfortunately, because you guys saw me flip a few times, the pepperoni shifted around a little bit. But, I mean, look at this thing. The edges, they swole up nicely. This ought to be pretty daggone good. So let's see. Oh yeah. It's got that good sound as you go across it. I'll just take me a slice out right here. And let's see how we go. Lost my cheese. Oh well. Let's see. How's the bottom look? Not too bad. I didn't burn it. That's the important part. Don't want to burn your food. But how does all this come together and taste? Yeah, it definitely tastes hot. Don't take it straight out of the oven and bite into it. Whew. The cheese will leave an imprint in your mouth. But the taste, it's homemade. Come on, you can't go wrong like that. And then, you know how we made all that pizza sauce? Oh, it's not going to waste. Oh no. You get your little bowl, you get your little pizza, you get your little dippy action, get that flavor all over the pizza, and then you really nom. Now, you're thinking, well, you made it in the smoker. It's gonna have a smoky flavor. It doesn't. You wouldn't know if I did this in the smoker or if I did this in the oven. I mean, but like I said, because it's burning so hot, you're not getting that wood smoke flavor to it, but you are getting a really good pizza and you are saving a ton of money. So until I make the rest of this disappear, y'all remember that Bigfoot is real and that this is real good, real cheap pizza. Y'all take care, because I am nomin'. Peace out. Who knows? He might even who knows? He might even have some words of wisdom. With a little bit of a dust cloud. With a lot of dust cloud. Now, we're already boiling. Calm down. We got all day.